Hello students, welcome to St. Thomas School Surat, Standard 8, English, NCERT, Lesson 3, Glimpses of the Past, Part 1. Standard 8, English, Lesson 3, Glimpses of the Past, Part 1. Before we read the lesson, let's just go through the introduction. Here are some pictorial glimpses of the history of our country from 1757 to 1857. These pictures and speech bubbles will help clarify your understanding of the conditions that led to the event known as the First War of Independence. This lesson throws light on how British East India Company expanded its power in India and how they exploited the Indians. This is direct narration. Now about the author. S.D. Sawant or Shivaji Sawant was a renowned novelist in Marathi. He was born on August 31st, 1940. He died on September 18, 2002. He was a writer, teacher, and an editor. He is known as Mrityunjayakar or the maker of Mrityunjay. It is a famous novel in Marathi. Okay, that is about the author who wrote this lesson. Now, what are the objectives of the lesson? What you are going to learn from this lesson? To learn about some of our freedom fighters that is given in the lesson. To develop love and respect for our country and patriots. How to write the events in chronological order. And to understand about the British reign in India. So 4 objectives. 1 is to learn about our freedom fighters given. To develop love and respect for our country and our patriots. And how to write the events in chronological order. Chronological order means according to the date wise. Okay, according to how the things happened. You cannot write in a different way. To understand about the British reign in India. Now, coming to the lesson, the first is the martyrs. At a function in Delhi, you can see Lata Mangeshkar singing a song, "O my countrymen, let your eyes fill with tears as you recall the sacrifice of India's martyr." Now, in that picture, you can see Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi, and other dignitaries sitting on the dais. Now, coming to the next slide. This is about the company's conquest from 1757 to 1849. Now, company is the British East India Company. They are coming to India for conquering it. With its superior weapons, the British East India Company was extending its power in 18th century India. Okay, now you see, you can find in 18th century, or in 1765, you can find the only a part of India is being occupied by the British. The rest is free. Indian princes were short-sighted. Now this king is talking. That's upstart Raja Bai. Call the English merchants. They will help me to defeat him. So the kings are fighting against each other. The people had no peace due to such constant fights. The rivalries helped the East India Company and it could easily subdue Indian princes one by one. Since they were fighting with each other, the British East India Company could defeat all the Indian princes and they could capture their states. A far-seeing ruler like the brave Tipu of Mysore fought the British till he died fighting. So Tipu Sultan of Mysore was the only person who understood the cunningness of the British East India Company. Thank God there is peace in the country now. No more war and no looting by thugs. So these kings were talking to themselves, saying that, so since the British has controlled, so there is now no looting and war. It is God who sent the British. So this king is saying it is God who sent the British. Our destiny is linked with them. So the kings were happy to have the British come there. But how did the ordinary people think of it? How did they think of the British attacking the country? The white man has killed or dethroned our kings. So this you can find the two reactions, one by the kingly people and the other by the ordinary people. The white man has killed or dethroned our kings. And some kings were not good, but after all, they were all of this land. Now we have become slaves of foreigners. So the ordinary people, they were saying that the white man who had come from a faraway country has dethroned our kings, means put our kings out from the throne. And now we have become slaves of foreigners. The other person is telling we have become slaves of foreigners. Another person is saying that some kings were not good at all, but after all, they were from this own land. They were not foreigners. Now, coming to the explanation of the first two slides, the martyrs and the company's conquest. A martyr is a person who is killed because of their religious or other beliefs. A martyr is a person who is killed because of their religious or other beliefs. In the picture where you see a great singer of India, Lata Mangeshkar, she is singing the most popular patriotic song, A Mere Watan Ke Logo. So she is singing that song in a function. And in the picture you can find Lal Bahadur Shastri, Nehru and Indira Gandhi sitting on the dais. So martyr is a person who is killed because of their religious or other beliefs. So if a person is being killed because of his religious beliefs and the others are opposing it, he is called as a martyr. Now coming to the company's conquest. We read in that page how the British started to gradually extend its power, okay, and how the princes of India were short-sighted. They were not able to understand the cunningness of the British. They took the support of the British East India Company, and uh, they started to join with these people and fight against the other kings. But one king of India, that is Tipu of Mysore, knew what the Britishers were doing. So he started to fight against them. So, so the king is the Tipu of Mysore. He knew the Britishers were going to control the whole country. So he started to fight against them. But the other prince of India at that time, they thought it was God who sent these British people to help them, and they started to support these British. But the ordinary people, they also knew why these people have come. They are going to make these Indians slaves, and the British are going to rule over them. Some of the kings thought the Britishers were to help them, but the kings thought that the Britishers were to help them. Now, religious leaders at that time, now that is the British rule. Now, when the British started ruling, now, British ruled from 1765 to 1836. Religious leaders preached ideas like untouchability and child marriage. Anyone who crosses the sea loses his religion. So, the religious leaders at that time also started to exploit the ordinary people. They said they preach ideas like untouchability and also child marriage. And also they said if you cross the seas, or it means if you go outside India to overseas countries, you're going to lose the religion. All the misery in the world is due to women. Another religious leader said, all this in the world, all the problems in the world is happening due to women. Now, these concepts were easily understood by the British. They knew how to cheat the Indian people. The truth was that Indians had lost self-respect. The British scorned them. So the British understood these Indians are illiterate, not of much education. So you can, uh, bring them down. And the Indians had lost self-respect. They couldn't be self-respected by themselves because they were all considered below average or poor. The natives are unworthy of trust, incapable of honesty. True, you're honest, but I am honest. So one Indian is saying, I know all the Indians are not honest. They're not telling the truth. But the man standing in the behind this Englishman is saying that everybody is like that except me. Being merchants, the British wanted quick profits. Their heavy taxes forced farmers to abandon their fields. So here you can see uh, the British started to attack them. So they wanted quick profits, so they started to put heavy tax on the farmers. So they will not be, so these farmers will not be able to pay the taxes and they will leave the land. But your men are taking all my crops. So these poor farmers say, you're taking tax from me, and also you people are taking the crops from me. You are still in arrears. If you don't pay next week, I will send you to jail. So this Englishman is saying, if you're not going to give your arrears, means whatever you're supposed to, the money you're supposed to give me, if you don't give me by next week, I will send you to jail. Still, the British invented other methods which gave them more profit. So these English people were very cunning. They knew how to earn profit very fast. The goods manufactured in England should not have any import duties when brought to India. So the captains are saying it's a good idea. The English East India Company's laws began to cripple Indian industries. So the British said they started more methods to gain profit. So they started one method was they'll bring the goods from England, and that will not have any duty when brought to India. Okay, so once you bring some materials from another country, when you bring it to India, a tax is laid on that. But the British, what did they do? They said you cannot put any, we are not going to put any tax on that. The British, so what happened? Inevitably, famines followed between 1822 and 1836, and 15 lakh Indians died of starvation. The British policies ruined the expert artisans and their business. So, it was like complete misery for the Indians during the British rule. Now, coming to the explanation, the British rule was for around 71 years. Okay, from 1765 to 1836. That is a lifespan of a human being. As we read in the lesson, the religious leaders at that time was preaching about untouchability. Untouchability means the very rigid caste system. The high caste people cannot touch a low caste, or the low caste people cannot move in front of the high caste people. Child marriage. Children were married off at the very small age. Sati, and even more, even women were considered as the root cause of many problems and miseries. Sati is the woman jumping into the fire of the dead husband. So these were the practices that were there during that time. And one more thing was that women were considered as the root cause. Women were the people at that time thought women were the main cause of many problems and miseries. So this was bringing an upper hand for the British. So they could put more troubles and problems into the people's mind. British understood they could get an upper hand if they divide and they could make Indians fight with each other on the basis of the above said issues. So the British understood that they can make the Indians fight with each other on the basis of the above said issues. The British wanted to earn profit quickly. So what did they do? To earn profit quickly, they started to levy heavy tax on farmers, and if they didn't pay, they were asked to leave their lands. So the British started to, acquire lands, and the poor farmers, they had to pay more heavy tax, a heavy load of tax, and if they couldn't pay, they were asked to leave their lands. And the British also found many ways to earn profit. One of their method was to not to put import duty on the British goods bought from England. So the British, what they used to do, they used to bring, very good quality goods from England, and once they brought it to India, they were just put into the market for high rate. And when they bought those goods, there was no import duty. Means once a good is landed on a country, the country which brings that has to pay a duty, a money to the government. But here, what did the British do? They didn't put any import duty import tax on the British goods, and these goods were sold at high price in India. And what did they do? They bought the goods and they were sold at a very high price in India. And it was like made compulsory by the British people to buy to the Indians, they should buy these goods. Whereas the Indian goods taken to England were sold at low price. Now, things taken from India, like the silk or the spices that were taken, it was sold at low price. So what happened? Indian market or the Indian industries started to cripple means they started to lose, and even the small business also started to stop. As a result of this, there was scarcity of food and extreme starvation. Around 15 lakh people died between 1822 to 1836. So, because of the above said issues, because of the tax being laid on the farmers on the land, or the import putting high duty on the things that taken from in India, and selling in English goods at a high price, all this started to lead to uh, the bringing down the business of Indian people. And because of that, there was scarcity of food, extreme starvation, and around 15 lakh people died between this time. Now, next is one of the reformers of India, Ram Mohan Roy, from 1772 to 1833. Now, Ram Mohan Roy is otherwise called as Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Now, we have learned that in our social science book. He was an Indian social, religious, and educational reformer who was one of the founders of the Brahma Sabha. So he was one of the Indian social, religious, and educational reformer. He tried to bring about so many social changes, religious changes, and educational changes within our country. He was born on 22nd May 1772 and he died on 27th September 1833. He fought for the abolition of sati and child marriage. So he fought against abolition of sati to stop sati, to stop that, stop the practice of the woman or the wife jumping into the fire of the dead husband, and also stopping child marriage. Now coming to Ram Mohan Roy's, how he tried to bring about changes in the country. Ram Mohan Roy, as a learned man from Bengal, understood what was wrong with the country. Let us not despise ourselves. So here Ram Mohan Roy is talking to one of his friends. Our ancient culture is great and we are capable of great achievements. We must first reform our society. Superstitions have been ruining us. He told his wife Uma, cows are of different colors, but the color of their milk is the same. Different teachers have different opinions, but the essence of every religion is the same. So here you can find how a learned man man is describing what the British is going to do to our country and what they're doing now. He was attracted by science and modern knowledge. And he said knowledge should be practical and scientific. He started the newspaper, but the suspicious British stopped them in 1823. He crossed the seas and went to England there to see what made the British powerful. There he told them, "We accept you as rulers, and you must accept us as subjects. But you must remember the responsibility a ruler owes to his subjects." Now here, when you see, now the explanation for Raja Ram Mohan Roy is, now he was a great religious leader, okay, and religious social educational reformer, and he was the founder of Brahma Sabha. Now when we come here to the explanation, we understand that he was a learned man and he knew what a country was capable of, and he wanted to reform the superstitions of the society that was prevailing at that time. So he knew what our country has, what our country is capable of, how far it can grow. And but he wanted to do that. In the first, he wanted to stop the superstitions of the society. Superstitions of the society is, abolishing sati, stopping child marriage, uh, all that he wanted to stop first. And he said all religions are one because the basic essence of it is love, care, respect, and tolerance. So remember, Ram Mohan Roy telling his wife, cows are of different colors, but the milk what you get is of the one color. So there are different religions in our country, but the basic essence of all the religions is love, care, respect. That is, love one another, care one another, respect each other, tolerance, tolerate, consider the other as your brother. Do not fight with the other person. Never make fun of another religion. These are the basic teachings that are given in all our religious books. There is nothing other than that. He also said that the knowledge that we acquire should be practical and scientific. So whatever you're learning, it should be practical and scientific. He went to England and saw how how powerful the British was. And in a speech there he said that the rulers of any country should take care of their subjects. And this made the British all the more irritated. So once he traveled out of India, he went to England and see how the British had become so powerful. And in a speech there he said that the rulers of any country, for example, take any country and a king is ruling there, he should take care of its subjects. Subjects are the people living there. And the king's duty is to take care of the people living there. And this made the British all the more irritated. Why were they irritated? Because the British are not taking care of the Indians, but they were actually looting the Indian people. So they felt irritated, and I mean they got irritated. And in 1823, Ram Mohan Roy started a newspaper, but the British stopped it. Why? Because they knew once he starts the paper and people start reading it, the problems that they are facing, and they will start to fight against these Britishers. So they immediately stopped it in 1823. So that is the first part. This is the first part of the lesson, glimpses of the past. Uh, the next will be about the oppression, dissatisfaction, all that. What led to the revolt of 1857. I hope you all have understood the first part of this lesson. I think we all have learned this in a better way in social science, but this lesson will bring, I hope it will encourage you to love this country more and more. Thank you.